Now that's off now. Did you see that one off, or is it? It's just a.
Oh, just this.
Oh, fine.
The
It's
screen
just on
there.
you. Okay, good. No, I'm going back because I have a 16-year-old daughter and a marriage, and I've been away too long, and I've just done 7 cities in the United States, and then 5 here in Europe. I'm going home.
Wow.
Okay.
How long do you take? I mean,
How long have I been away?
yeah.
Well, no, it was different times. I did 2 different trips around the United States and then home. Then I was in 2 cities in Europe, then I had to go back to New York, and then I've done 3 cities now. But a total of almost 3 or 4 weeks.
You know, the thing is that you do junkets with American press with every movie. Over here, you come here only when you have a Jewish-themed movie. So we have to cover quite a long career.
Okay,
to be
fair
honest,
enough. Okay, fair enough. All right.
in this one sitting, because I like your movies very much.
Thank
as
you.
as a director, also as a producer, and
Okay.
also your TV work.
Okay.
And I'm the unofficial spokesman for My So-Called Life.
Are you? Well, glad there's somebody. Good. That's
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Crying foul for we're still wanting to hear more about
Angela Chase?
Angel Chase.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah. Well, I think we managed. But how do you balance those two? 30-something, My So-Called Life, the minor character dramas, and then the big epic adventure.
I think they've actually coexisted in a way that's helped each of them, at least for me internally, because first of all, I have an appetite for both kinds of storytelling. Doing a television series has allowed me to be home, to be a father, to drive carpool, to coach soccer, to do the things that I want to do. And making these movies has given expression to a very different part of my sensibility, and it's taken me far away, and that's been thrilling and very difficult for all the other reasons that I just mentioned. It's also let me have a business which has let me wait to do the movies that I really want to do the way I want to do them with the people I want to do them with, and not have to take a bad paying job just to make a movie that then I would not be proud of or feel invested in. Because I've always felt that the TV work, it wasn't just gave me something to do when I got up in the morning, it was something I was proud of and something I cared about. So it's enabled me to have a career over a certain period of time that I feel connected to. And I don't feel particularly ashamed of anything that I've done because I've had to do it. I've done it because I've wanted to do it.
Are there any more television projects on the way that?
Maybe. We're talking about one. Yeah, Marshall and I are actually, we're in the middle of talking about something. It's got to be good, and we've got to figure out that we know how to do it first, but we're talking
Something
about
that, that you will be writing yourselves, or
Yeah, no, I think we probably will write the first one, or we'll initially write it ourselves. I think it's very personal in some way, so maybe we will.
When you direct and also direct and produce, it's for you it's a privilege or a constraint?
When I produce for other people, that's a particular privilege. When I've produced for myself, I've often shared that responsibility with some very talented people. Peter Jan Brugge, who produced this with me, also produced Glory, is a hugely talented producer, and I really ceded the lion's share of the responsibility of the actual production work to him. I took the producer credit because I got the movie going and got it financed and cast it, but he did the lion's share of the producing work, and so did Kevin Delanoy and Paula Weinstein on Blood Diamond. Directing has always been the thing that I most wanted to do and have done the most of. Writing is, it's painful, but it's something that I have grown more able to endure over the last number of years, and in fact has become more important to me.
You can see also directing scripts or
I've
composition?
I've done that. I mean, Legends of the Fall and Courage Under Fire were both written by a woman named Susan Shilladay, who had worked with me on 30-something, who was Marshall's ex-wife. And I know it sounds incestuous, but and Last Samurai was written with a man named John Logan. So I enjoy working with other writers too, and it's only about the end results. It's whatever's going to get me to the place that I feel I have to get to. I would rather do nothing at all, but it doesn't tend to turn out that way.
The opposite to write and to let.
The only person the only time I've ever done, well, no, in the beginning of my career I did that. I was a writer for other people, and I did do rewrites and stuff like that. The only person that I've done that for is for Marshall on the television stuff, when I've written and I've let him ruin it.
Just before I get to Defiance, two quick questions about the body of your works. Your company is called Bedford Falls, which is a town from It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see Defiance and Blood Diamond,
It's hard to think of what theater they're playing in that town.
no, it doesn't look like It's a Wonderful Life after all.
Ah.
It looks like quite a
Well,
terrible life.
if you look at It's a Wonderful Life closely, it's a pretty dark movie.
It is.
It's not. It's a dim view of what a man goes through and what people's motivations are sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some irony in that title, I think.
Indeed, but ultimately it's very optimistic.
It is ultimately very optimistic. Certainly, this movie, in some sense, ends up that way. It has not been the common theme in the end of my movies. My daughter, who's going to be 16, said that in her lifetime, she'd never seen me do a movie where the protagonist survives. But they do in this case.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it tends to be when when the lead character survives, it's a comedy. When the lead character dies, it's a tragedy. And the circumstances that I've described are more tragic than not. But I'd like to think that in some of those movies, there is a flame, there is something of life and something affirming about life, even in the midst of very dire circumstance. And certainly that's at the heart of this movie to me, that these people in the midst of the most extreme circumstance actually created something that had meaning and the life force in it. But it's a good question.
And if I look at the films you've made, the films, not television, then I would think that Courage Under Fire is a good title for the body of work that you've made.
People, go ahead.
People, in wartime situations, most of them are. And when you did Courage Under Fire, which is a movie I loved, again, the name is ironic, because you don't quite know what actually happened there. It's sort of a Rashomon style narrative. But once again, you're drawn to these big action conflicts, bloody conflicts, national conflicts. I'm trying to figure out what draws you to these movies, because again, the scale is not something that that we see ordinarily in Hollywood in these days. It's more classic Hollywood. William Wyler.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm an admirer of George Stevens and William Wyler and John Ford and those classical directors. I am, unabashedly. The classic dramatists of our age, the great dramatists from Homer to Shakespeare to Tolstoy to Stendhal to Balzac. I mean, the idea of putting things in time of great calamity and war or whatever is, in fact, what they would more often do than not, because in times like that, you know, the best of times and the worst of times, as Dickens would have called it, men and women are revealed in their essence in some way. So I'm not the first person to be drawn to that. I guess I have some appetite also for the political universe and for the political debate and the theater of ideas. And this is a way of indulging that in the midst of talking about characters, too. But I also feel that often the moral dilemma of a character is reflected in the polemical debate or the dialectics of the political issues, or find their reflection in the ambivalences of the characters. And I find that interesting, too.
That ambivalence or that polemic and all, it's very interesting because your movies are very intriguing politically. Because on the one hand, you get great action, battle sequences, Last Samurai, and even the Legends of the Fall, which is a romance, it's still very much a war epic. And us as viewers, we're enthralled in the action of the war. We're riveted by it, and yet your heroes, your main characters, are very idealistic. They're doing it for peace. They're not they're not the usual heroic types of war.
Although I would take exception certainly with DiCaprio's character in the last. And even Cruise's character initially is cynical, but who does indeed connect to some sense of purpose, yes.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think what are you trying to tell me as a viewer? That war is good, that war is awful, that fighting for a cause is noble.
Well, I don't know. You will take from the films what you will. I only know what my own beliefs are.
That's the question.
I mean, there are times there are that there are things worth fighting for, but that war unto itself is destructive to all concerned, and horrible in its consequence in every single way. I guess that's the summation of something. You know, what you're suggesting, which is interesting to me, is that in the depiction of war, even as a commercial venture, that something cynical is being done, that there is an appeal, even a fetishizing of violence in that regard.
Yeah, it does.
And that's a very thorny question having to do with the commercialization of anything. I think what I would say is that I am in a untenable situation in trying to exist in an enterprise that is dictated by economics and a set of commercial considerations that oblige me to entertain people as well as instruct them.
Yeah.
And so that results sometimes in some sets of compromises, and
no.
Yeah, I mean that's.
You're saying compromises, and I see your movies, and I don't see compromises.
Well,
I see visual great. I
right.
would try to suggest a subversive point of view,
Which is
war images are very appealing. Even
yes.
if I would say that I'm a pacifist, I would go to a war movie because I prefer that war is fake.
Yeah, right. That's right.
And after all the the music is a certain way, and the action.